Hey, Star Wars fans and Rule the Galaxy fans, welcome back. For those of you who just listen to us on the podcast or watch us on YouTube, the last few weeks, D-Doc has been putting his magic together, and we are going live. We went live last week. We're going live this week. It is Joe in the pilot seat. D-Doc, who is our producer, technician, everything. He's right here by my side. Our regular host, Alfie's with us, and we're going to have a special guest tonight. Mr. Michael Havens from the ICCCon in Nashville. He's waving there, so hopefully you're watching live and enjoying this.
Hello.
But yeah, so there's
You
Michael.
need some audio. How you doing?
We're gonna talk a little Bad Batch, talk a little Mandalorian, and definitely talk about the ICCCon in Nashville. So I'll start off. I'll whip it around the horn here. And what's that thing called again, D-Doc? So I don't mess it up. The Beacon? Is that what we are?
Yeah, Beacon. I could have done it on Linktree. I did it on Beacon. So
That's
we have
okay.
a Beacon link.
So pretty much on our Instagram, on our YouTube probably, and on our Twitter, you can see the link to our Beacon, which has all of our connectivity on there. Go check that out. And we'll also retweet back out later the that's if we're allowed to tweet anymore. I don't know all the rule changes. We'll put that out there with our where to buy our stuff, our gear, our merch as well. So I'll just start right now. Alfie, how are you, sir? Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Joe. I'm doing pretty good. Another solid week of Star Wars. Excited to talk about that and ready to get into this ICCC. Getting excited about heading down there again.
You got it. You got it. D-Doc, this is going to be your first trip to the ICCCon in Nashville, but how are you, sir?
I'm doing good. Yeah, I mean, I think we have a lot of really fun Star Wars stuff to talk about. And last year, as we know, I've probably said it like 15 times or 20 times on this podcast that I was having the baby at the time last year and had to cancel the plane ticket, but I'm going this year. I'm really jacked up. I know you guys had a good time. I even made some friends through you guys just going there, people who just follow me now, and I feel like I know them through the internet. So I'm really excited to head down there.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, you will have fun. And the reason this whole thing takes off here on Memorial Day weekend, May 26th through the 28th, I believe, is because of this man who's our guest, who's been our guest before, and he was such a great host to us last year down in Nashville, Mr. Michael Havens. Michael, welcome back to the show. How are you?
Oh, I appreciate it, Joe. I'm doing great, man. I got no complaints, and thank you very much for having me on again. It's always nice to be on the Rule of Galaxy podcast. I really like what you guys do, and you guys have just been growing and growing, huh? Just like us.
Hey, we're having fun. I wish we were growing at your pace, but yeah, we've been growing, been trying some new things, adding in the live shows, adding in more YouTube, all that kind of stuff. And I think like D-Doc mentioned, Alfie, myself, Brent, we made friends with Matt and Jim, and then Headless Ned and Rex Tano, and there's so many other different people, the Duchess, while we were there at the ICC con last year, and that's kept going since then, right? And so we're really excited about it, and we're really excited. Let's just start off with that. I mean, I'll let you kind of tell the folks where to go, how to get there, if there are tickets left still, all that kind of stuff. But give them the 30,000-foot view of ICC, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, sure. Well, we started in 2018, and we're still going. This is going to be ICCCon Part V in 2023. We are coming back for our 5th ICCCon, and what has happened, it's been really wonderful, is between wonderful podcasts like you and other people, and people that have talked, and people that have talked about their time at the con, and even guest stars that have talked about their time at the con, has grown us so quickly. It's a breakneck speed, and we appreciate it and we love it. And now that we have guest stars hopping on where they're doing like spoilers and whatnot on main stages, I mean, it's been getting crazier and crazier as the days go on. My phone rings with really cool guest stars on a regular basis. I'm doing more work than I need to and more work than I should, but it's getting done. And I have a wonderful team that helps me so much. And we've built something that, man, it's rolling. What happened is last year, you guys know, it was crazy. And I'm sorry, but I didn't expect that many human beings to be in one place ever for something I was doing. So yeah, at 12:30 on Saturday, we did have to stop selling tickets, and man, it was so bad. We couldn't even like let people in because it was so packed. So we were giving away free badges for Sunday for people to come back.
Wow.
It was great. I mean, that's how you grow. You can't see it coming, but I mean, we had triple the amount of people last year that we had the year before. And it went crazy. And now that there were a couple of, the Emperor being like, you can feel my presence, man, that thing took off like 8 billion hits everywhere, all over TikTok. And then I was lucky enough to go out to Celebration in Anaheim, and I got to hang out with the Emperor again, and we were hanging out, and I ended up going to Galaxy's Edge with him. He invited me to Galaxy's Edge. The thing is, it was freaking awesome. Everything you ever imagined, by the way. Like, totally. I was sitting in this chair. The Emperor was sitting in this chair, and we're literally going through Rise of the Resistance. And the AT-ATs are over us, and he goes, I never imagined it would get this big. And I was like, this is the coolest thing that's ever happened to me. Right? Because, see, the thing is, I'm like a legit fan, so it's a trip, man. Believe me, it is not wasted on me. So the thing is the reason why I brought that up is because we were there, and there were a lot of videos of people on Galaxy's Edge where I'm like standing between the 8,000 humans from Star Wars and the Emperor, because what happened is the Disney dude that was like showing us around, he kept like leaving us and being like, listen, I have to go get your badges for here. I have to go get your line skips for Rise of the Resistance, which is nice and everything, because, yes, you do get into Oolas or whatever, like that. When you're with the Emperor, man, you don't wait for a table at Oolas. And so what happened is we're going through. So the Disney dude keeps leaving us, right? So he's leaving the Emperor in Galaxy's Edge in Anaheim, California, on Star Wars night, like nobody's going to recognize him, right? And I'm standing there being like, please don't kill me, everybody. And you know what I mean? But I ended up on so many TikToks and Twitters and this and that's because of that. That even ended up just going crazy. I mean, we had to shut off. We only have the waiting list for podcasts now. We used to be like, come, everybody. But the thing is we're already up to like 62 press. And I mean, so we've had to start really, it's crazy because we always want it to be everybody all the time, but it's gotten so big that we have to be, well, I mean, we've always been super selective. You see our vendor tables, man. I think I turned down more vendor tables than I accept, but they're all cool. It's really, really snowballed, and it's snowballed because of great folks like you that come and talk about it and bring it up, and you bring your own swag and you trade with your friends and you party all night, because you guys know me. 6:30 hits and I'm like, I am dead, and I'm trying to sneak through a back door into a hotel with Taco Bell. I'm done. You know, you guys are the ones that rage all night and do this and do that, and it's a party and there's trading and buying and selling. I'm asleep. But that's the magic of this, man. That doesn't happen at every convention. And that's just the community aspect, because no matter what way you cut it, this started from the Imperial Commissary Facebook groups, and it started from meetups in toy stores with 14 people.
Yeah.
That turned into 30 people and 50 people and 500 people. Now, like thousands and thousands of people. We had 6,900 people walk through the door last year. That is bonkers. Like, just on Saturday, 6,900 people. Like, if you do the numbers like a regular convention does, that would technically be like 12 to 15,000 people. Because what they do is they add all the days together. And what we do is we go, you bought a weekend pass, that means you're one. You know what I mean? So those numbers are killer. And that exploded from wherever we were before. And what has happened is we can't do that venue anymore. Even though we love the Music City Sheridan, no bad blood, great place. We just outgrew it. So our only choices where we go downtown to the Music City Center, which is a beautiful venue. Don't get me wrong. Did I pick the worst video camera ever for your live video? I'm sorry.
No, I like it. It looks like you're in an aquarium. I love it.
Yeah. I have decent tech. We're just not on it right now. So what happened is it was so overpacked that what we were going to do is we were going to move it to the Music City Center. And I looked into the Music City Center, and it's a wonderful venue. It is a wonderful venue if they're doing the NFL Draft or the Country Music Awards. For a convention with real humans that don't make $40 billion a year, it's literally the worst place in the world, because Parking is minimum $45. Hotel rooms in downtown Nashville, and downtown Nashville is crazy. So hotel rooms minimum $650, or you're staying in like Murderville. You know what I mean? Like not nice places. If you stay in like, and I'm just talking about like the Drury in Nashville is like $650 a night, man. And it's just like there's nothing wrong with a Drury, but it's a Drury for $650 a night. You can get an RV. So I was like, all right, what do? We can't go there, and we can't go there because it just prices everybody out and it beats everybody up. And the whole point of this convention is not to do that. So we go, all right, we can't do downtown. Plus, man, it would have been $9 sodas. And I have been saying, I'm not going to charge you $9 for a soda for what, 6 years? I'm not going to go charge you $9 for or $11, $12 now. God knows with what eggs cost. Who knows what a soda would be there. But so I'm looking, I'm drawing blanks. I'm literally looking at land because I'm going to just build it because I'm like, whatever, you know? And I actually drove out this property behind Kid Rock's house out here. And I'm like way up in the woods and you can see Kid Rock's house down there. And I was literally thinking about buying it. And then I stumbled upon, back in the day, I used to go to gun shows out here at the Wilson County Fairgrounds in Lebanon, Tennessee. And it was just 3 little metal green buildings, like a fairgrounds, you know, nice big ones and everything. And I was like, all right, you know, it's whatever. I can't go there, you know, because it's like, bah. So anyway, Farm Bureau bought it. What's up, brother? Sister, how you doing? See how bad my tech is? I can't see nothing. But so Farm Bureau bought it out like 5 years ago. And they put in like a giant convention center. So I didn't know. I go out to look at it because somebody pitches it to me and says, you got to go look at this. So I say, fine, whatever. You know, I'm going to go look at 3 barns. I'm not going backwards. Forget that. So I go to look at it. And man, they just put in like this big, giant convention center, like legit rectangle buildings, air walls, LED projectors on the screens, nice floors, like, you know, like the floors in a nice convention center where you lift up those little panels and there's like electric every 3 feet and water and power and Ethernet. And dude, it is great. So I'm looking around at this and I'm going, all right, this building is awesome, right? So what else? What's the outside? And here's the thing, right? Because see, what happens is they put the Farm Bureau Convention Center right in the middle of the Wilson County AG Center. The thing is the Farm Bureau is owned by Farm Bureau. It doesn't have to do with, it's like the Vatican and Italy. So what I did is I rented the Vatican and Italy because they couldn't close the back building. So it could have been like 4-H rabbit show behind ICCCon on Saturday. So I was like, listen, I need to be able to lock all this down, how much to buy everything. And it was a lot. It is actually way more than the other place, but it's so much bigger, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm doing is I got 3 stages now. I've got an entire historic town like that you can walk through with like 80 buildings in it and do cosplay or whatever. Schools, they're going to have fried bologna sandwiches, general store. They're going to have jug band music on the backstage. They're going to have all this different stuff. They got some lady that makes brooms out of like wheat or something. There's some guy that'll teach you about goats. Like, it's crazy, right? It's like this whole thing. It's called Fiddler's Grove. You can look it up. They do like, you could go there on like a Tuesday and like pay $20 or something. But I just like bought the tiny town, you know what I mean? And then there was also this train museum that was also pressed up against the property that has a whole bunch of model trains in it. And I'm like, all right, we're a collector's convention. Can I buy the train museum? And they're like, yes, you can. So I was like, I'll take it. And then I bought a bunch of land out in the back too, man. So we're going to get food trucks. And I even got a helicopter so we can have helicopter rides. Like, it's going to be bonkers. And what I just finished locking down today, here, I'll give you a spoiler, is I don't even have the blog post written up yet. But I'm throwing a demolition derby on Saturday night. So we're going to watch them crash into each other. It's going to be bonkers. You're not going to be able to fit this thing into the word convention, but it'll be a heck of an experience.
Oh, my gosh.
It's going to be nuts, brother.
I love it.
I'm psyched.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, here we are. And yes, we're based off Star Wars stuff, but there's so many other things we all love, right? Yeah. And crashing of cars, great. You know, train collecting, great. I'm excited. I think you're right. It's no longer the ICCCon. It's more of the ICC experience, right?
Well, I don't know if you guys know, because you stay at the host hotels, right? Which, by the way, if you're staying at host hotels, the only one that has rooms left is 4 rooms at the True, and there are 43 rooms left at the Hampton Inn and Suites. That's it. Everything else is sold out. We do have backup hotels that I'll open, but I won't open those till these are sold out. Okay. But the hotels are going to be nuts, because what's happening now is, because we rent all these hotels, we get all the meeting rooms downstairs. So, if you guys want to do a podcast from the show or something, I mean, there's going to be like a circus in one room. There's going to be like this meetup of a collectors club. Dude, I'm telling you, the hotel is going to be nuts. I'm going to be asleep, but it's going to be nuts. Because see, the thing is I got these 4 hotels, and they're all owned by the same company, and they're all within 0.3 of a mile of each other. And the only thing in that 0.3 of a mile besides these hotels is a Buffalo Wild Wings and a liquor store. I think you'll be fine, And across the street is a giant movie theater. So, and it's the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi on the Thursday before the show.
Oh my God!
Please call the movie theaters. I tried to rent a movie theater out so I could play it. They will not do it for me. They have to see enough interest. I'm throwing a Star Wars convention down the road. I can fill it, and because they have to buy the reel too. But maybe if somebody out there listening to your thing or whatever knows a guy who knows a guy, call up. I think it's an AMC right across the street. Okay. And if we can maybe make their phone ring enough, maybe we can make Return of the Jedi happen on the big screen, which would be awesome. But yeah, no, it's going to be crazy. So anyway, the reason why I brought up the host hotels, not because they're selling out, but because I'm doing something else, which I haven't announced. But since I'm talking to you wonderful 4 guys, why not? What I did is I bought these big buses. So what they'll do is they'll go back and forth to the con all day, and they'll go back and forth to the hotels all day. And then at night on Friday and Saturday, they'll cart you back and forth to downtown Nashville. So downtown Nashville is essentially our downtown Disney, and we will bring you back and forth. Keep your badge on. You don't lose it.
Nice.
But yeah, I got these big old 55-person ADA compliant cross the nation buses, man. They're going to be awesome.
I think that sounds like a plan, fellas.
You won't have to do nothing, man. Just make sure you don't lose that badge, because I'm quite sure some people will have a couple beverages in downtown Nashville before they come home on that midnight shuttle bus.
Well, I want to backtrack real quick, because you own a toy store, right?
My wife.
Your wife owns a toy store. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Did it get broken into? Did it so that story, I saw it, and it's been a while, so I forget all the details, but here's her toy store in Tennessee, and somebody broke in. Everybody's okay, right? It's been repaired, all that kind of stuff. But how crazy is that somebody did that to you guys?
It was pretty crazy, man. All right. Well, what happened is it was like day before Christmas or 2 days before Christmas or something like that. It was freezing cold, and we get a call from some guy that was there's a really the highest end tattoo parlor ever. I don't know. I have a couple tattoos, and I have never been in some place that is so nice to go get a tattoo. I haven't gotten a tattoo there, but I don't know. The reason why I'm explaining, it's called Titan Tattoo. If you want to get a tattoo, it's a beautiful place. But it's so funny because I don't know, the Four Seasons of tattoo studios. You know what I mean? It's really nice. And so anyway, what happens is the guy called us from Titan Tattoo, and he's like, "Listen, your door is broken into." And we were like, "Oh wow," So we drove out there. That was about noon the day after it happened. It happened at 1 a.m. Not another single thing was stolen. The only person ever to walk in the store between all that time was that one guy. We live in a really safe neighborhood, actually. Or we have a store in a safe neighborhood. But what happened is this guy, I guess, crazy story. So the cops have caught him now. It's done. They got him down in Knoxville. He was selling stuff to some collector up in Minnesota. The guy in Minnesota gave him a list. So what he did is he hit us. He hit a really high-end rare mountain bike shop. Wow. He hit a really, really rare violin store. He hit all these really rare places for this shopping list for the guy. So the way they ended up catching him is they ended up catching him doing it at another one, and then in his phone were pictures of all our stores and all the stuff. Because he went in before and was like, holy crap. So if you're wondering if my wife has like really, really high-end nice toys, yes, she does. We're specifically targeted because of it.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, man, he stole so much worth of stuff, and I don't know, man. Insurance did not work.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry about that. And I look.
Well, we got new insurance, and it's all back together, and it doesn't matter, man. We're lucky enough. My wife does this. She's semi-retired. She was the controller for GMC, Cadillac, Buick, everything, and she was like, I want to stop working 60 hours a week. And I was like, great. I've got a 2-car garage that's full of all the stuff that I don't want when I buy my vintage stuff, because I'll buy a collection of vintage toys and I'll keep the stuff I want. And then it's like, well, there's 3,600 pops. And they just went in the garage,
Wow.
And then so when she opened the store, I got my garages back and she got an entire store worth of inventory. It was really
lovely.
Perfect.
Well, I'm going to let these guys hop around and ask questions and things like that. But real quick, Willie Harms, D-Doc, I see Willie Harms said, hey, we're going to have to get a few more C's in the ICCCon. Willie, great follower of the show, listener of the show. And we got to meet Willie at the show last year. And we actually, it was really awesome. Myself and Nick, one of our co-hosts, were sitting in and watching Ashley Eckstein, James Arnold Taylor, Matt Lanner, and Anna Graves with Willie. And it was just great to sit there with our listeners and be able to watch that kind of stuff. That's the kind of level that you bring to your shows. And Anna Graves has been nice. She's dealt with us, talked to us, take pictures with us, and now here you have Vanessa Marshall coming this coming year, and I send a message out to her saying, hey, can we get 15 minutes with you while we're down there? She wrote me back right on Twitter, of course. Boom. So it's like those are the kind of people you bring.
Man. Vanessa, yeah, she's so nice.
Yeah, so it's awesome. But Alfie, D-Doc, Brent, because Brent showed up while you were talking there. So Brent, welcome to tonight's show.
I didn't even let you get introed, bro. Sorry.
But you guys go around.
You're more important for sure.
I don't know about that, man. With only me, I'd be sitting there alone with $1 billion worth of guarantees nobody's going to cover. So I'm glad you guys are there. Trust me.
You got it. Alfie, D-Doc, Brent, you got anything for Michael?
I just want to say, last year we had a great time. I loved it. And I was really happy to have been able to experience last year, because that was one thing in the 2 days we were there that I kept thinking is, man, this thing is ready for the next level. And I'm really excited to see where it goes compared to the way it was. Now, I'm not trying to put last year down or anything, because it was awesome seeing you getting a firsthand experience at something right before it goes to the next level. So I'm really excited.
And Alfie's got a tattoo from last year's show. Alfie, where do you have it? On your wrist?
I'm not taking the bowling glove off.
Oh, I forgot you got that tattoo. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's
Golden Yeti is coming back, so don't worry. You can get more this year. Yeah.
I have a plan. Yes.
Nice.
Brent, you had a great time last year, and Brent is a funny guy because he keeps his cool all the time. But there was times when I thought Brent was just walking around like a kid in a candy store last year during the ICCCon.
He didn't want us to see that. He tried to keep it hidden.
Are you saying when I saw Jar Jar? When I saw the Jar Jar walking around? Or when I saw the man-sized Jawa, when I said hey, and he turned around and said "Wootini," because the Jawa had the actual voice box of the Jawas. Those were two of quite possibly the best experiences of my life. Then seeing the Twi'lek belly dancer, and I believe friends with the Chiss.
The Chiss.
Yes. Yeah, those cosplaying was one of my favorite things. I did not expect to enjoy as much as I did seeing the people walking around with cosplay. That was amazing to me.
You bring that up. Rick Prince was one of the 501st. He was Darth Maul while we were down there, and Rick's been on our show since then as well as the Hyperspace Heroes podcast. We met them down there. Those guys, I'll tell you what, Michael, they went hog wild with the after hours get together in the hotel for the sales. Those guys were buying and selling like crazy.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it was a good time. But
the new sales area is much larger as well. That new place.
I do have one question, and it revolves around the theme of this season of this year. and it's where did you land on Rebels as your theme, and then how did you land a couple of the people that you landed? Like, you don't have to get into all the details of whatever, but like, first, how did you come up with Rebels? Because I think it's genius, and I'm a fan. I have several people that I've been sharing the releases that you've been pushing out, and trying to get them enticed to head down there as well. But so Rebels, and then how did you land a few of them? Like,
yeah. Well, all right. For Rebels, the way it worked is, all right. The reason why Rebels is because I'm a huge real Star Wars nerd. And you could smell Rebels coming back. You could smell them coming back a lot. Like, you could just, it's just coming. It's the way it is. Man, when they pop those, can I say stuff like that?
Sure.
Pop those whales up in Mando. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
But like, you knew before that. And the reason why is because they were talking, you know what happened is Ahsoka. They said that, what was it? They were going to have Hera in Ahsoka.
Hera and Sabine.
Hera got cast in Ahsoka, and Sabine got cast. As soon as they did that, it was over. And the sheer fact that, believe me, I'm not trying to talk anything about any giant corporate monsters at all, but it's a huge miss. And the reason why it's a huge miss is because you're not a Star Wars nerd. If you're a Star Wars nerd, you smelled the Rebels coming. So the reason why I got them is because I know for a fact they're all going to be in Ahsoka. I know for a fact Thrawn's coming back. I know for a fact Thrawn and Ezra went on a spaceship with the whale thingies right at the end of Rebels. I know that for a fact. So I knew it was going to happen, man. How did I get them? What I do is originally when I first started my real job, it's a trucking company, logistics brokerage. And the way that you find freight originally is you pick up the phone and you cold call until your fingers fall off. That's what I did. But luckily, over the years, I've built enough contacts and friends and even guest star friends that my first cold call was to James Arnold Taylor. And I say, hey, listen, bro, do you know anybody that does blah, 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 blah? And his wife knew Vanessa. And then Vanessa said, oh, you know, it would be cool if you could get Taylor Gray. And I said, yes, it would be cool if I could get Taylor Gray. Do you think maybe you can get me his phone number or something? And so then Taylor came next. And then I think we released somebody between her and Taylor. But that's just because
Freddie Prinze?
Yeah, Freddie Prinze Jr. So anyway, here's a weird one, right? So I'm at a taco shop with this dude that's trying to pitch me on why I need to use him as one of my agents for the thing. And I'm like, dude, agents are agents. There's a million agents. Unless you're the guy that really reps anybody, there's 8 million of you. But thanks for the taco, free taco. So I'm sitting there and he's like, well, I do have only one person that I rep that is, my specific person. And I go, who? And he goes, Freddie Prinze Jr. And I go, holy crap, I'll take him. It was just like that at some random lunch in a taco shop over by my wife's store in Nashville. And he just came through. And then, so we got Freddie Prinze Jr. So then it became, all right, what's left is Zeb and Sabine, right? Mm-hmm. So what happened is, and everybody thinks I'm a genius, but I'm not. It just worked out, right?
Oh.
But so what happened is I finally locked down Zeb, Steve Bloom, and I get him all set. And the thing is he's from Hawaii, so he's got to fly in from Hawaii, and it's like, oh my God, man, could you possibly make a flight from LA cost more, right? But whatever. And then he's like, and I'm tall, so first class. And it's like, oh, all right, bro, fine. Because, I got to get Zeb, right? So anyway, I put all together the stuff for Zeb and everything, and he has final approval on the pictures and stuff, right? So I'm trying to jam it out because I can smell it, guys. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, all right, I got his graphic, got his thing, sent it all over to him. I'm putting it together so I could spit it out that morning because it took a long time. And the reason why is because he's ridiculously busy. Because if you weren't aware, like when I was making his graphic, Zeb is not Zeb. That's like his smallest role ever. Mm-hmm. He's like
everything.
Every single anime person with the big sword you see at cosplay. He's those ones. He's like the really important ones. And I know nothing about that. I'm a Star Wars nerd, right? I'm like, oh, geez, Zeb, will you come? He's like, man, I'll tell you what to put on the poster. And I was like, okay. But So what happened is we released that last Friday, and then boom, what did we just see?
Yep.
And, man,
Oh my
I was
God,
like, are you
amazing.
kidding me?
Blew my mind. You got one like you're gonna have them maybe a month. The show's still gonna be going on. I think, isn't it? No, it'll be over with.
It'll be over by then.
It'll
Yeah,
be just over with.
but Ahsoka will be starting the month after, right?
In the summer.
Fantastic. An actual real life active character from The Mandalorian, man.
And since you guys are so nice, guess what I'm doing tomorrow? Tia.
You're announcing Tia
tomorrow?
Sabine? Yep.
Oh,
Sabine?
man.
Yeah. I'll be dropping Sabine tomorrow.
No.
Nice.
So we have all the rebels, and I even have
man.
the droid builders bringing a chopper for the photo ops.
Oh,
that'd be
my
amazing.
gosh.
So
You got the family.
dude, it was
Nice.
pulling teeth. Like literally, I'm tingly right now because you guys are the first person. You're it. There you go. Breaking news.
Oh,
great.
I thought you had dropped them all. I thought we were that was it.
No,
I got one more to go, huh?
Man.
Yeah, one more to go. Coming out tomorrow, man.
That's gonna be awesome.
Tia Sakara is coming out tomorrow. So yeah, and then we'll have all the rebels.
That's incredible. I mean,
And then I have a few more guest stars I still have to drop, a couple more Star Wars things, and then I do have the look at what we can do, what the other corporate gigantic con can't do. I have a couple of those guest stars. So if you happen to enjoy Marvel, maybe
Okay.
it'll be something cool. But it's really we're in a whole different level now.
you know, I went into gosh, what was it? Sabrina the Teenage Witch. What was her name?
Melissa Joan Hart.
Melissa Joan Hart.
How cool was that?
And I watched her and Ahsoka sit and talk. Ashley Eckstein, and I'm sitting there going, "Wow, this is pretty cool." I'm sitting at this convention. The guys are manning the table. I'm going to go over there and watch this. And then later on, I go and sit down. Like I said, half of the cast of Clone Wars is sitting right there, and I'm thinking, how was this put together? And then, oh, by the way, Anthony Daniels walked out last year, and then Ian McDermott. And I'm sitting there going, I really feel like I should be in LA right now, not Nashville, Tennessee, or Nashville area.
Yeah.
And to hear that now you've said, okay, last year was that. Now this year is Rebels, which, as you can tell, that is Brent's go-to on the animated side right there.
Dude, I love
It's the
Rebels.
family.
Rebels
It's the family.
It might be the best Star Wars ever made.
It's fantastic. And you know, so some of our wives are coming this year. Last year was a guy thing. We were like, oh, you guys, let's go check this out, right? D-Doc's flying in from Philadelphia to be a part of it. And my wife is excited because Freddie Prinze Jr. was in Friends. He was on 24. He was Freddie in Scooby-Doo. You know
what you did last summer?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So she's like, oh, that's awesome. And I'm like, no, that's Kanan Jarrus. That's Kane, you know. So yeah, it's just I'm so stoked about all that. I'm really excited. I think everybody who's within a decent, drive or whatever needs to check it out because it's something like you mentioned, you don't get at the other big cons. And then to go another step, not only did you have all that, and then you have the whole section with all the toys, you have all the cosplay. But one of the things that really blew me away last year was the artwork. Some of the artwork that you had for sale in that place was just some of the best Star Wars artwork or fandom artwork that I'd seen anywhere. And the artists were right there. And the variety that they had was just phenomenal. So do you see that being a big part of it again? More things like that, collectibles as well as artwork and things?
We have a couple live artists that'll do live shows on the stages. We also have a circus that'll be going on as far as performance art. We also have the artists when it comes to music, but when you're talking about the actual paintings and fan art and stuff like that, yes, we're huge on that. In real life, I own a trucking company and I own art galleries. So I'm a big fan of art. I'm a big fan of artists. We make our tables ridiculously cheap for artists. And the reason why is because it's tough to sell enough art to cover tables. It takes a lot of time to make if it's good, and it takes a lot of effort, and if you're spending $1,000, $2,000 on a table, you can't make your money back. So with artists, we make it really inexpensive. And the thing is because of the type of artists that we have gotten, and see, we do artist things where you know, a poster or a t-shirt logo is made by an artist, or the coin is made by an artist, or the badges are all made by an artist. The reason why is we actually integrate the art community into this because we love it. See, here's the thing. You guys know, if you were around in the dark times, right, between the late 80s and the early 90s or mid 90s, all that there was fan art that was new. So I have such an unbelievable respect for the people that have created and kept Star Wars alive with it, and that have also continued to create it and make beautiful things. And yes, we're lucky enough to have some very wonderful artists, but that's usually because I have sought them out, bought some of their stuff in the past, and been like, dude, you got to do my show, you know? So, but the artists, and now that the artists are so good, I don't know, and I think everybody should have the opportunity to make what they want, do what they want. But the artists are so good, I don't think like the bad ones that you see sometimes at other places would even bother, because they'll just, what are they going to sell, man? You got like Ken Beam there that like does all those dots with the black and white dot Star Destroyer, and it's like bonkers. It's like that would take me 6,000 weeks. You know what I mean? And somehow he's got every character of everything you could ever think. And then you got Jeremiah that does the spray paint art, where it's like the spray painted AT-ATs and the spray paint. It's really cool, man. But these are people that are true artists that also happen to make some nerdy art as well, which is really cool. Billy Martinez that did our badges last year. I think I have some here. Yeah, that did these badges from last year.
Mm-hmm.
That was Billy Martinez, and he's actually crazy famous for art that is not Star Wars. It's called Girls by Billy Martinez. And if you ever Google it, it's PG, don't worry. But if you ever Google it, and he was a famous artist before he did the Star Wars thing. But see, we've always integrated that art thing, so it does draw a really good art community with us.
Well, that's awesome. D-Doc, you weren't there last year. We've discussed it over and over again. This is going to be your first time. Listening to all this, are there questions you have or things that are popping up you can bring to Michael or anything like that?
Well, I just remember the first time we had Michael on, and that was when I was still going to the convention. And I remember he said he was a fan of like Walt Disney and the way he did things like back in the day. Like that was one thing that stuck with me. And I'm like, and then I watched you guys from afar go to it. And as I said to our ECPC TV guys a couple weeks ago, I was telling them that I thought they did a great job broadcasting it, because even though I was at home, I was still able to feel like I was a part of things. I was following you guys and watching it. And yeah, I see that. I definitely see the Walt Disney effect, especially if you were thinking about buying land to put it on too. I mean,
will.
Like
Eventually we will, because it's got to be, you know, I don't know. I want other conventions to be able to have this too, man. And the thing is we've gotten so big that I can do a big place like this. But I mean, I don't know, man. I like tiny conventions too, and they should have a place to throw their convention. So if I happen to have a building, why can't they use it?
Right.
We'll get there.
I agree. And it was like right when like the day before hit, I started seeing people just like hashtagging the ICCC, like people on the road there. And like, I think it was Hyperspace Heroes that they were like posting like a road vlog kind of like them like stops on the road and everything. And then like I just was seeing all the stuff there, and I just can't wait. I mean, I'm just very excited to go there. I wish I could have went last year, but it sounds like my first year is going to be a banger, honestly.
Nice.
It's going to be awesome. Hey, real quick, a quick shout out to Dr. Squatch. Dr. Squatch? Dr. Squatch?
Dr. Squatch.
Dr. Squatch.
He's great comments on everything here. And hey, look, we're getting a believer. He's looking to go to the
Come
event.
down and say hi.
That's right.
Yeah, you'll love it, brother. You'll love it.
Seriously, I will say the one thing that blew me away was when Willie Harms walked up to me and said, "Hey, Brent, how are you doing?"
Was that not crazy?
I had
That's
absolutely
like the
no
most
idea.
insane thing that's ever happened in my life.
I had absolutely no idea that actually people listen to us, and the fact that he would know and recognize me was amazing. So, and if he was still on, it's amazing. It blew me away. So, yeah, Dr. Squatch, if you do get this ticket, you should get this ticket. Come up and say hi to the Rule of Galaxy peeps. The other thing is, I do want you to share the story and I have told this story because I sat in the room when you were telling it to the ECPC TV guys about Palpatine and how he got the Palpatine walk.
Oh,
So I listened to you tell the story, and I think it deserves to be told to every Star Wars fan that has ever heard it. And so go ahead, I'll let you do it because you do a great job. You're a good storyteller. You have
thanks.
you have a gift for it, but it is a fantastic story. I want to hear it. I want our listeners to hear it.
I appreciate it. Will do. All right. Well, I was going to the airport to pick up Ian McDiarmid, and I had this really, really cool Sprinter van, like Mercedes, top of the line, TVs on both sides, like really nice. Because I wanted to impress the Emperor. You don't show up in a land speeder when you're picking up the Emperor. You get the best shuttle. So I went there, and we go out, and he comes into the thing, and I got Return of the Jedi on the front and the back, because I'm like, I'm gonna be cool, and he's gonna be on TV and be like, oh, I like you now, So he gets in, he sits down, and we're watching it. And he's like, oh my gosh, I'm on TV, which was hilarious. And then he goes, that scene right there, and it was the scene where the Emperor. So I'm sitting in the back of a Sprinter van, like limo lights and everything. The Emperor is literally sitting 2 feet, 3 feet in front of me, like face to face. It was a trip. And so he goes, in that scene right there where he's walking down the shuttle right at the beginning of the Return of the Jedi, 10 minutes in, 15 minutes in, whatever. And he's walking down the shuttle steps, and he goes, do you know why that is? He's like, the really cool thing is all those guys that are lined up, they would have golf carts for all the stormtroopers, and they would go behind them, and they'd be like, stand up straight, put away your watch, do this, because they were there for a long, long time. And he said, as I was going down the ramp, I had to walk down the ramp. That's the first scene with the Emperor, the first time you see him walk. And he goes, I had to walk down the ramp, but back in the day, instead of like CG eyeballs to make his eyes yellow, they had lenses that only had a little tiny slit in each lens. And the whole thing was just yellow. So those were in his eyeballs, contact lenses that you couldn't see out of except for a slit, which allowed them to just paint the lens, So as he's walking down, he goes, well, I was walking down, I couldn't see where I was walking. So the whole reason why the Emperor walks like a crippled old man is because he couldn't see, and he was like falling and catching himself going down the shuttle thing. He was like, I couldn't even see the top of Darth Vader's helmet from the top of the shuttle when he was going down the stairs. So and he's like, and now I've been stuck, and I have to walk that way for the past 40 years, he said. And it was funny because when we were doing the Galaxy's Edge thing, I was telling you, I got to go to Galaxy's Edge with them. Well, when they take you out, when you're like with the Emperor, they take you out like this back door around the back. Like I got to smell garbage in Disney World. It was a trip because, they like hide that stuff. And so I'm walking, and man, I'm telling you, I'm a bigger guy. Disney World's big. And I'm walking in. The Emperor's 70 years old now, man. And he was like, boom. It was like 9:30 at night. He was running across the whole Disney park. I'm going behind him with the stitch in my side, being like, but he is a champion, man. And it was really funny because he walks better at 70 years old than anybody I've ever known. So imagine having to be stuck walking like that for 40 years just because you couldn't see in the first scene.
Wow.
Yeah.
The little things, the behind the scenes stuff that we don't know.
Well, did you see when the Emperor was on stage, his little thing where he was talking about sitting in the throne?
I missed that one.
Okay. So the Emperor was doing his panel, and he's like, and now here's the secret that nobody knows. He's like, when we did the throne room scene, the throne broke. It was a motorized throne, and it broke and wouldn't work. So what they did is it was on ball bearings. So he goes, so whenever the throne turned, my feet were under it going like this, because he would move his feet side to side to shimmy himself to turn the throne. So the Emperor is turning the throne every time you see the throne turn with his little feet under his cape.
Wow.
So it's just very funny, man. But you never know, and you would never know in a million years.
No.
But his feet are going a mile a minute under that while he's turning around, which is a trip.
That alone would have probably made him a little bit angry just doing that. Hey, real quick, just to let everybody know as we hop in between here, because we're talking the ICCCon, we're going to talk some Bad Batch and Mando here in a minute. But before we break and talk about those, next week is our 200th show extravaganza. It's going to be a long night. Going to be a lot of things going on. Already that we have as guests, T-Bob will be on. Jack Harvey from the IndyCar racing circuit will be on. Stephen Kent, who was a recent guest host for us. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm just trying to read all the names. You think I'd be able to read my own writing, right? Mark Thompson, audiobook narrator for Star Wars books.
Dude,
will be
Mark
on
Thompson?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a
Tell
friend
Mark
of the
Thompson that I think he's the coolest person ever.
We've had him on 2 or 3 different times. Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, Mark
He's
Thompson, I've listened to everything
Yeah.
he's ever made. He reads the Throne book. He's
yeah.
phenomenal.
Yeah,
he also
he's
did
awesome.
some bumpers for our show too, as like Yoda and Jar Jar and
Dude.
Yeah, he's great.
Thrawn. He's done some good
Guys,
stuff
use your
for
poll.
us.
Get me a voicemail.
We'll get you. Guys, I wrote down Dave. Who would be Dave? Who's been on our show named Dave? I'm blanking. Come on. I wrote down Dave. I should know this. Anyway, Steve Glosson is going to come by. Oh, Dave Jones. I didn't put the J after it.
The
There you
real,
go.
the
real Dave M. Jones. Yes.
the real Dave.
I just
Jones.
had Dave written down. I probably should have put Dave Jones so I could put that up.
Georgia Mafia. You got to
Georgia Mafia, yes.
Georgia Star Wars Mafia.
Adam Bray is going to stop by. Steve Gloss is going to drop by. And today I was given a note that Drew Karpyshyn said he will come by and say hello as well. So we'll have him. I've already got some recorded messages from Rural Farm Boy, from Mark Newbold from StarWars.com, Scott Reifin, Ryan McGee. They are all sending us over some audio messages for our 200th extravaganza. So we'll be playing those during the show as well. But we have just a bevy of guests that are going to be on here, and really excited. A plethora. Yes. See, El Guapo.
A cornucopia?
Whatever way you guys want to go with it. Yeah. We've got a lot of people coming on. But so it's going to be a long show, lots of guests. It's going to be a lot
copious
of fun.
amounts.
Sure,
I like that.
Brent. Yes, copious amounts. Hey, you know what? We bugged Michael plenty about ICC. Let's go first to the Bad Batch double episode.
Has everyone seen the Bad Batch double episode, so we can't spoil it for each other?
Yes.
D-Doc.
I only dropped the ball 2 times.
Okay.
I got overwhelmed 2 times by the same day drops.
Okay.
I watched it, and trust me, I have a lot of opinions on some things about
Okay.
it. So
I'm going to let you guys go in. We had episode 15, The Summit, and episode 16, Plan 99. I'll go around the room. D-Doc, you start. You have opinions. Some thoughts on the season ending of Bad Batch.
yeah, I mean, number one, I'll say if you haven't watched it yet, watch it before I talk about what I'm about to talk about. But I'm going right to the thing that everybody was thinking about, and it's my guy right here. I just have him sitting. I just have him sitting on my desk in a special spot now.
Are you talking about
Because-
Teak?
Yeah. I'm just
Poor guy.
I think he'll be fine.
Somehow,
Star Wars, man.
Ted-
They'll just strap some robot legs on him. He'll be back.
somehow
they
Ted
better.
returned.
That's why I'm
Oh.
saying that scene was so, it was like emotional. It's so funny to like watch these animated shows and feel the emotions that they put into them, because it's like I had my kid down for nap time, and I'm like, all right, well, let me knock out the 2 Bad Batch finale episodes, and here I am crying on the couch watching a freaking animated show.
We've all been there.
I had literal tear going down the nose watching it, and I'm just, because he was like one of my favorite characters in the show. Like, I don't know why, I just loved him. I just wish it didn't happen. And to me, it's like, if he's gone, he's gone. That's it. I do not want you to put me through those types of emotions and then just be like, he's back, because I actually was reading an interview with the actress who plays Omega, and she said she thought it was like a joke, basically, when she saw it in her script. And then she said she was kind of blown away by it. But I know how that stuff works, because then they could technically put out the script next season and be like, oh, he's back or something. I do not want he's back, because if that's how he went, it was a hell of a way to go. He saved their asses, basically. But that's like, obviously that stands out to me. I mean, I thought it was a great 2 episodes, and like I pretty much give those 2 episodes a 10 out of 10, like broader picture. I'll say. I know I'm only talking about one character, but yeah. we can get into the plot details more with you guys. I'm just going to say I'm kind of crushed by the fact that my boy is gone.
Before we get into more detail, I have a quick question. Why do I feel like that planet is important? Why do I feel like that I've heard that planet before?
Which planet?
Ariatu? Like, I swear like I'd heard it before when they used the name. Am I
Alfie?
making something up? Like, I feel like there's like a deeper meaning to the planet. I'm not sure. Was it in like some other show? Was it somewhere else? I feel like it sounded too new for me to be like that. I've heard that before. So
It's
that's all I
over
got.
me, over my head. I don't know on Ariatu. Alfie, I'm going to go
Yes.
to you next. Bad Batch, last 2 episodes.
They were really great. I agree with D-Doc. They were probably 10 out of 10. But as far as the series goes, man, to me, it's just a little too late. This formula of 4 to 6 episodes a season being like really killer, it's just too much. I can be honest with you to say I will never watch the Bad Batch again, except for a few episodes.
Okay.
And that's not really a knock on the show. It's a good show. I understand it's for children, so it should have some what we could consider filler or, episode of the week type of format. But I don't know. I think it's just time to either finalize this clone story or move somewhere else. I think the whole Clone Wars story has gone on too long. It's been stretched out too much. I want to see the end of it. I want to know what happens. But then again, at the same time, it's like, how many more stories can you make out of this?
Okay.
16.
At least 16 more. Yeah, I would agree.
Michael, how about you on the last 2 episodes of Bad Batch?
Okay. As far as the emotional part from the tech thing, yeah, totally. That was a really cool scene. I have seen it before a few times in a bunch of different movies. Like the same exact scene.
Yeah.
So that was all right, but I don't know. As far as deciding to move to Hawaii, I mean, that would be nice. I mean, I've had stressful days at work, and I'd like to move to Hawaii. That seemed good that they got to do that too. But otherwise, I thought the action sequences were awesome. I think Crosshair is the coolest thing since sliced bread. Totally. I'm on the other side. But then again, Imperial Commissary Collectors Convention. I like the bad guys. And then here's the other thing is I really thought that as far as the interaction with Omega and the Clone Force 99, I think that's a great story. But I think that the direction of the show is more all over the place than ICCCon. And I'm a crazy person with too much money, so that's okay. You know what I mean? But like you're making something. The thing is, all right, here's an example. As much as I like Crosshair, the waterboarding torture episode was way too rough for Star Wars cartoon. And then you're going to go give me one where it's like, hey, he just met Maui at the Hawaiian village one where it's like everybody's happy and dancing around and we're living with seashells going fishing. I mean, you got to pick a lane. If you want to make it Ex Machina, great, I'm down. But if you want to make it Maui, if it's going to be Moana, be Moana. If it's going to be Ghost in the Shell, be Ghost in the Shell. The thing is that waterboarding episode I thought was ridiculously rough for little kids, and I thought the fairy tale Moana episode was really parochial for adults. So I don't know what they're picking, and that's what my problem is with it. That's my only problem with it. If they just picked a story and went with it, or they went dark, or they went light, or they went whatever, I'm happy. But it's 2 different shows. I'm going into an episode not knowing if I'm going to be emotionally distraught by a death scene or if it's going to be like, I mean, dude, they had like an earthquake for a whole episode or something. Mm-hmm. They like just showed up on some planet and it's like, we're going to have a tidal wave today.
Well, but that's the Maui episode, right? I mean, it's
but there should have been a bad guy or something. It was like natural disaster. That was fun.
But I didn't see it until the Duchess talked about it last week, and so did Alfie, and so did D-Doc. But this week even solidified it that Papu, or whatever the hell the name that of Boca Raton,
Boca Raton, yeah.
right? So is on Scarif, and I didn't believe it, or I didn't put any weight into it until I watched this episode, and they decided to throw Orson Krennic into the little meeting of the minds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
And so you throw Krennic into the meeting with the minds, and now all that does in my mind is solidify the fact that Papu is on Scarif. And I guarantee you these boys are going to go to Boca Raton and then get blown away not realizing it.
Ah, that's crazy. So they're going to end up on like Scarif, on like the other side of the planet, and just...
So
wow.
the theory was that
man.
right? The theory was that Papu is one of the islands that is part of Scarif, so it's away from the base, but it's the island of Scarif, and that earthquake that they had that caused the gigantic tidal wave could possibly have been from testing the Death Star, causing some issues, right? Or whatever they're doing on Scarif. So now, like, that was an idea. That was an idea thrown around.
Yeah, the timing wasn't matching up with Rogue One or anything. You're not saying that.
I'm not saying it's a Rogue One. What I'm saying is like the Earth. There's a possibility there's some testing going on by the Empire on Scarif. This planet is on Scarif. This planet is Scarif, and you're tying Orson Krennic in. I know Alfie's probably got something. What I'm trying to say is you put Scarif, you put Krennic in there. You have this earthquake that Papu that could possibly be Scarif. It makes it more plausible that it is Scarif where Papu is.
It makes it have a point, too.
Go, Alfie Ray.
I said this last episode when we talked about it. The whole canon story of the Death Star now is all over the place, and it's really hard to nail down where it was or where it was being built. But I could see that the laser itself being tested at Scarif, because that was the big holdup, was the laser.
Yes. Okay, I can do that. I'm a bullet point guy. I went through the episodes and I was just like, okay, things I want to remember.
I just really like the idea that they're hiding on Scarif.
I think
not
it's
knowing it.
If they're hiding on Scarif, then I retract my Moana statement, because I think that's a great idea. I didn't think of it till right now. I heard it.
Honestly, I didn't think about it until they said it, and I honestly didn't put any faith into it until I saw Homeboy sitting there talking to Tarkin upstairs in Hemlock. Right. All of them guys sitting and talking. So,
yeah.
So yes. So to follow up on that, Brent, we see Tarkin, we see Saw Gerrera, we see Orson Krennic. This is where the show goes right, in my opinion. When you're tying all these things from the end of episode 3 up towards Rogue One and up towards A New Hope, tying together is good. I like all that. Put a bow on it. Those things were good. We see clone tubes in the background when Omega's taken to Wayland, to Tantus, right? And then obviously we see Crosshair, but then we find out that one of the scientists is her sister. Do we have an
she's a clone?
Because she's a clone. Yes. I mean, what do we think about that? That's another female clone out of Django, right? They were using Django to make all these clones. Go ahead, D-Doc.
Yeah, I mean, I thought right away in the Crosshair episode, I guess it was,
a couple episodes ago, yeah.
Before this one, that I thought that they were showing the expressions on her face a decent amount when she was putting him under. I mean, she was still following orders, but I don't know. Something seemed a bit off with her to me, and I also thought her voice kind of sounded similar to Omega's, like kind of like an adult version with a bit less of a accent to it, I'd say. So when she said that, I was like, all right, that kind of makes sense, but I just don't know. I don't understand what they're trying to do here is really what I'm like. What is the like kind of like what Alfie has said about sequel stuff? Like, what is your end goal? What are you trying to do? What do you need Omega for? What do you have all these guys on these hospital beds strapped down for? What are you going for? I saw Alfie. Do you have the answer for me?
No, I don't have the answer. And this is one thing that has really bothered me about the show. Now, all of a sudden, like 3 episodes from the end of the second season, the Empire wants Omega again. Like, why did they stop wanting her?
Yeah.
If you think back to the first season, I know the Kaminoans are the ones that put the bounty on her, but you would think it's like all of a sudden nobody wanted her. Now they want her again. And there's this female clone, and we never really got an explanation. If you think back to like the first episode, I think the Kaminoan said there were 5 altered clones, and you think Omega is one of them, but how was she altered? You assumed at first that she was female, but now if there's another female, then does she have some, superhuman trait like the others in Clone Force 99 that we just don't know about yet?
It's a good question. Another thing that got brought up is that we all kind of saw it coming. Sid was going to turn on him. We all saw that coming early in the season, and that's good. I'm done with Sid. I think we're all done with Sid.
Yeah.
Rhea Perlman, great. Thanks for bringing cheers to Star Wars, but
it went on way too long.
Yeah.
But you also kind of suck. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Go ahead, Brent.
Don't feel bad.
I'm not gonna sit here and say that this was my original thought. I tried to stay away from the YouTubes and the interwebs, but I read a post, and I think it has some validity. And I can't even give it the person's due, but it's somebody else's thought, and it kind of goes back to what is the point of this. So the guy or lady, I can't remember who it was, said that this was basically Empire Strikes Back. So the entirety of this season was Empire Strikes Back, in that the Empire wins, the hope is lost, things have gone awry. The Bad Batch had somebody turn on them and turn them in, just like Lando turned in everybody in Empire Strikes Back. Han gets separated and pulled in a different direction. You lose some people. And so it is at a darker, dimmer place as Empire Strikes Back. And if they have the next season, so the next season could be then Return of the Batch, right? So it's like Return of the Jedi, and you get the batch together, and you do a little more Bad Batchery.
Are the Hoojibs from the old Marvel comics going to come in and be the Ewok version of the Bad Batch? Do you guys know who the Hoojibs were?
Were they the little like rabbit people?
Little rabbit, pink, white people that they were like little rabbits in the Star Wars Marvel comics.
I hate that I know that.
Anyway,
they had, like spacesuits, right?
No, that's Jackson.
No.
I think you're talking about Jackson.
Jackson's he's a 6 foot tall rabbit that has a spacesuit, but there's like for the last 20 episodes, I think, of Star Wars Marvel comics in the 70s and 80s, they had these little funny rabbits that were everywhere.
They had like an antenna.
Yeah, it's you got to go check it out if you want to see some fun, cool, weird stuff from Star Wars back in the day. That was one of them. But when this season started off, I said, look, 3 seasons is going to be enough for me on Bad Batch. You know what? We got to this point. If like you said, Brent, this was the Empire Strikes Back version, great. Make the next one the Return of the Jedi one of a Bad Batch. Let's finish the story. It's not that I dislike these characters. I like a lot of these characters. There's a lot of things I do like about it. But like Alfie said, I'm not a big believer in going up and down. Kid to more adult, kid to more adult. Get in your lane, finish the story, and go from there. So that's my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, I wanted to say too that I think Michael was making a good point, because I was watching this with my kid to start it, and it's like some of these episodes that I watched, because there was some more serious stuff happening in it, and I'm just like, I don't know, I don't know if I wanted to see it or whatever yet, and I kind of finished it out, and I actually told him I finished the season, and he was like, what? He kind of forgot about it, because I probably skipped out on 6 episodes just because. Some like Michael was saying, he's like, I don't know if you're going to have the fun story with Omega, having fun and growing as a kid, or if you're going to be getting waterboarded in it. I don't know, and he probably would have been devastated with Tech, because they did they did make Tech a pretty big focal point of this season. I guess I should have seen it coming, when they had him, in that like, weird type of pod racing episode and stuff like that. And his relationship with Omega and like him trying to kind of get in touch with his emotions through the season. Like Tech was like kind of like a focal point of the show, you could say.
They even got him a girlfriend this season to make him more.
I know.
human.
Exactly.
And he still did. He was like, wait a second, what? When he was like leaving her, she's like, make sure you come back. And he's like, well, I don't know what's gonna happen out there. And she knows him. She knew him though, so she's just like, whatever, goodbye.
The problem with Tech though was he was the same character as Echo, and you can't have two of the same character on a.
He's
super
more
team.
likable though, in my opinion. That's the thing that sucks to me.
And I agree with you 100%, but Echo opens up the storylines of the underground clone resistance.
Yeah, it's hard to hug with a screwdriver for a hand.
I'm going to go back to the whole ASD, the autism spectrum disorder, and I feel like Tech is way more of an ASD character and does a really good job of trying to illustrate the autism spectrum disorder than Echo does. I agree that they are basically the same character and they did the same things. But it sucks that he was somebody that was representing that population to some people who watch this, and now he may not be there. At the same time, he's also the one that's going to make the calculated decision to do what he did because of the way that he thinks.
At the same time, they all have to die one by one.
Do they have to die one by one, or can they all die in a
that's the formula.
Big explosion of Scarif?
No. They'd all die one at a time, each death being
that's what Star Wars does.
More,
emotional.
Hey, we burn up Bad Batch. Let's hop into Mando season 3, episode 5, The Pirate. We're back on Navarro again. That mossy, grassy pirate's back. Gordian Shard. Broccoli pirate. Yeah.
He reminds me of Pizza the Hut.
He's a veggie Pizza the Hut.
He's a veggie Pizza the Hut.
He is, man. I can't not
Love
see
it. You know what? We started off one direction. We're gonna go. Oh, Brent just disappeared on us. Michael, I'm gonna let you lead the way on this one. Thoughts on this episode of Mando season 3, episode 5?
I think Mando is great. It's definitely my favorite show. It's really, really amazing. I liked it a lot. I like the Mando factor. I like the Bo-Katan factor. I like her losing her helmet to bridge the gap. I think we could use somebody like that in real life. I also liked... man, to tell you the truth, what I really like about the Mando, the most recent episode was the. All right, you know how like they go to Navarro and they take the thing. To tell you the truth, what really screwed me up was that darn when they found that shuttle, because I thought it was going to be somebody completely different.
Yeah.
Because I didn't remember that they took him away in a shuttle like that. I was like, that's going to be like, I don't even know who, man, like Ezra, Right. But so. It was really cool because it kind of like shows more of the Mando ethos and stuff like that, and I really appreciate that part of the show probably the most, man. I like the what it is to be a Mandalorian, the spotting of the mythosaur, the changing of her pauldron, like I like all those things that are happening now, which are bringing the Mandalorians together, and them finding the Beskar in the shuttle means that is that the Death Watch? I don't know. Is that why Sabine was sitting alone on her throne, or not Sabine?
Bo-Katan.
Bo-Katan was sitting alone on her throne because all the other Mandos, because there were Mandos that were very, very Imperial Mandos, like that was their team. So maybe it's that. I don't know what's going on, but I'm very, very excited to see. And man, the Mandalorian Zeb was an explosion. And I am waiting for the Mandalorian ship to get sucked up by a tractor beam in the final episode and it open up and there be big old blue there with his bright red eyes staring back at him. And that's what I want to see. Mark Thompson. How you get Mark Thompson on your show, dude? That's so cool. You don't even know.
Called
I
him.
listen to him all the time when I'm on my lawn, man.
He is awesome, and he's great. And we've had
Sorry, I was
Jonathan.
just thinking, he's my favorite Grand Admiral Thrawn sound ever. Is Mark Thompson?
We will tell you know what next week I'm going to tell him that, and I'll get you over his info. He's a great guy.
Yeah, well, I'll have him out, man.
Yeah,
why not?
he's great. By the way, you speaking of that, the other great memory from last year, the ICCC, was meeting Timothy Zahn and having him sign a book.
He's super nice, man.
That was freaking great.
Yeah.
The guy who put that all together was there, standing there, just signing things for us. He was a great guy. But so the things I liked, little Hill broccoli. Thank you, Willie.
Quality.
That's
so
great.
I loved the music when you showed up to the little military hangout there. I don't know what kind of music it was, but it was fun. And then seeing a Y-wing come flying in like that, my favorite
was cool.
ship. I love the Y-wing. A female snaggletooth was the bartender. How crazy is that? And then, of course, like you said, there's our friend Zeb right there, who was awesome. Captain Teva, I think this started giving you a little feel of what the Rangers of the New Republic was going to be like.
Exactly.
With having some of this going on. So we've got another scroll there from D-Doc. Thank you. That's great. But I thought this episode was a lot of fun. There was a lot of great things in it. I like the term walks in both worlds. Like you mentioned about Bo-Katan being able to take the helmet off while everybody else wasn't able to. Walk in both worlds. Like you mentioned, it'd be great if a lot more people did that, right? We could walk in both worlds. And then, like you said, the ending, I wasn't sure who to expect or what to expect the storyline to be in there. But I thought it was well done, and I can't see that the group of Mandos that's with Bo-Katan or with Din Djarin or the what's her name? The armorer, I don't see them being the ones who let him out. It was either planted there or, like you said, it was some of the imperialistic Mandos that used to be around that got, Brent's phone died, by the way, everybody. The Imperial Mandos from Rebels and from Clone Wars and so forth, that got Moff Gideon out of there. So I really like this episode a lot. Alfie, I'll go to you. What were some of your thoughts on this?
This is like the second or third episode of just Mandos flying around, just doing awesome Mando shit the entire episode. I mean, I can't believe it's real.
Yeah.
I mean, I know some people are, the story's not going anywhere. And it's like, what do you mean? There's like freaking 3 dozen Mandos doing cool ass shit every episode. And we're kind of missing the point that this season is setting up, and it ended in this episode with that realization that Mandos are stronger together.
Mm-hmm.
And that they're this scattered tribe all across, the galaxy. And it's time for them to, let go of their differences and become the Mandalorians again. I really like this episode. Like I said, I mean, the whole assault on Navarro, that was awesome. It's hard for me to really follow the rest of the story because I'm just blown away by all the Mandalorian stuff. I'm just being honest, I mean, it's awesome.
Well, think about this. In these stories, we're tying in things from the Clone Wars, Rebels, and the sequel trilogy all into one series. We have Puffer Pig mentions by Gorian Shan. We have the Babu Freak family coming in, right? I mean, so you're going from Puffer Pigs in Star Wars Rebels to the Babu Freaks from the sequel trilogy, all being wrapped up into one thing here. I mean, how cool is that? Like I said earlier, tying these things together, putting a bow on them, is what I think majority of Star Wars fans want. So
I would
they're
agree.
Doing a great job with this.
And the shuttle thing was done really well because it does throw a wrench into the story with this piece of. Now he says Beskar alloy, which is different than Beskar. So that would be that would be more like what Death Watch had or the Imperial Super Commandos. Was there ever an actual death of Gar Saxon in Rebels?
No.
I know we got
I don't think
captured.
he actually died.
He got captured in the Clone Wars, and then
Mhm.
I can't remember if he had an actual death in Rebels or not.
Did Sabine's mom kill him, or did they just capture him? Wasn't he still around for that whole battle that took place in Rebels? Wasn't he leading some of them against?
Yeah, isn't that who Sabine beat in the?
Yeah, I don't remember a death, so I'll have to look that up. But
So
yeah.
I mean, it's
It
very
says
feasible.
Gar Saxon died in disgrace, a traitor to his world and his people. His death would serve as a turning point for all Mandalore. He was succeeded by Governor of Mandalore by his younger brother, Tiberius Saxon.
Sure,
But
there's a bad guy.
I don't remember him dying. Do you?
I don't remember it, but it obviously happened. So
Oh, there we go. When Sabine defied Mandalorian tradition by sparing his life, Saxon tried to kill her with his blaster, but was
That's
shot
right.
dead by Ursa. Yeah.
there we go.
There you go.
See, it's good.
Yeah.
What also bringing back
So
to
it's not him.
Not him.
Going back to the Mandalorian episode that had a smidgen of the Andor in the middle of it. Elia Kane, is that right? Is that her name? The spy, the double, the whatever G68 that they call her. She's still playing her games. She wanted to make sure the New Republic did not go help out there.
Was
Go
that
ahead,
Tim Meadows from Saturday Night Live?
It was
Absolutely.
Tim Meadows.
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought.
Yeah,
It was.
that was a like that meme with Leonardo DiCaprio pointing at the TV. Right when I saw Tim Meadows, I was like, "What? Tim Meadows is in Star Wars?"
What was the movie he did where it was him as a star and he was like, oh, a ladies' man from the character he did on.
Called Ladies Man.
Was it called Ladies' Man? Holy crap! How did I not think about that?
As we sit down with our glass of Courvoisier. He was the radio guy, right? Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's popped into my head right away. I was like, oh, yes, right there. Yeah, great call on that. Tim Meadows.
Random movie I loved him in was the Even Stevens movie. That hit me back in my age when I was a kid. He was in the Even Stevens Disney Channel original movie. He was great in that.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sure he probably forgets that he was even in the Even Stevens movie, but loved him in it. So I was hyped to see him in this. But one point I wanted to make. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, D-Duck. You got it.
You were on it.
One thing I was going to say about Mando so far this season is they are putting some budget into these ships and to the sky battles. I'll say like they are really because it. As we said with Kenobi, sometimes it looked like a TV, like a TV show, stuff like that. It's like these ships look freaking awesome. Like that pirate ship was badass. Like I loved seeing that thing. I loved the paint job on it. I loved the visuals of it over Navarro and all of the pods dropping out of the bottom of it with all the cannons to make it feel like that pirate ship, even though it still feels like Star Wars. And you got like the little guys on the ship. I could not help but to think of Kermit the Frog and the Muppets with that guy with the main pirate sitting in the what's his name again? The green
Gorian Shand.
Gorian Shand, yeah, Mr. Broccoli Rob, as Willie said.
So you guys going back to Marvel Comics again, like in the first 15 episodes of Marvel Comics, after the Star Wars original 6 came out, there was pirate ships in that. Do you remember that, Alfie? And some of those characters looked like they were straight pulled out of Marvel Comics with the scruff beard and the little pirate hats on. It looked like I was back watching or reading those again as well. So another Marvel Comics.
He reminded me of Smitty. Is it Smitty his name from like Jake and the Neverland Pirates? Captain Hook's little guy.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Schmeeg,
yeah. He was played by, famous actor, and I'm forgetting his name. He was in Made in Manhattan. He was Schmeeg. He was, didn't he play Mario in the Mario movie? The original Mario? Was he? I'm blanking on the guy's name. He was in Hook. Come on, somebody go look that up. Who was in Hook?
Rufio.
I'm looking up stuff right now.
Yes, Rufio. But yeah, no, I look, you're right, Michael. Mando's sitting on all cylinders. For the people who don't get it, they must have a grudge against something like this. They must not like the way the storyline's going for what they imagine Star Wars to be or whatever. But this is, in my opinion, we've called it before the great unifier, and it's because you've got a little bit of everything from all segments: Clone Wars, Rebels, original trilogy, sequel trilogy, all wrapped up in this show. Go ahead, Michael.
I have a question for everybody here. Do you think the people that have any kind of issues with Mando, the reason why they have those issues is because they have not seen every last bit of Star Wars media like you need to be prepared for the show? Because, man, I get really, really excited about, like, space whales that you can sort of see in the background. But I'm like, oh, you know?
I would agree with that.
If you're not, like, a super Rebels nerd, you don't remember space whales. If you've seen Rebels once 15 years ago, you don't remember the space whales.
But I agree with that to an extent. But I also think Mando is, like, the easiest for a non-diehard Star Wars fan to watch. Because it's so enjoyable and there's so much action.
Easy to start with too. But
and Mando explains everything because Mando's the only person in Star Wars that has never like experienced anything in Star Wars. So he has to ask questions about every little thing, which I get, because that's kind of the angle they're going with this show is, hey, you can sit down and watch it because you like Baby Yoda. Okay, well, we'll draw you in with a little bit more, and before you know it, you're, looking up translations for, Mandalore stuff.
Right.
But they give you enough of the original hits there that you can, I don't know, man, like, you know how it is. Remember how, like, you'd see I don't know, they would come out like an M. Night Shyamalan movie and you're just watching for like the red in the background because that's like, there's the ghost. Like, it's that kind of stuff, where it's like, I don't know, man. I think it's really cool because, yes, I think not only does it bring in the new folks like you're talking about because it does explain it, but for the old folks like us, it gives us stuff that is just like, man, the only way you're going to know that stuff is if you've seen it all a couple times.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
But it's
like
not crucial to the story, the parts of it yet. Like, I mean, Zeb was some guy at a bar. To anybody that's just watching Mando for the first time, it was a guy at a bar. To anybody that's diehard Rebels, you literally crapped on your couch at 4 a.m. on a Wednesday.
That's why I group watch with a buddy who's literally never watched a single second of animated. So, like, he's only ever watched live action. And when he saw Zeb, he was just like, that guy's pretty cool looking. I'm like, you don't know anything about him. It's like, and I try to lightly nudge people in the direction of the animated because I'm a late comer to the animated shows myself. Like, I didn't watch Clone Wars till, I guess at this point, maybe it's a year and a half ago or maybe 2 years. Like, I was just late to the game on that stuff because I was just like, oh, it's animated, it's a kid's show. Like, I don't need to watch that. And then you start watching it, you realize what it's about. And then you just see all this stuff in these shows that's so related to them. Like, I'm finishing Rebels now. I'm a late to the game Rebels guy. It's like literally my last piece of Star Wars. But I was texting before this episode. I think I texted in our group text and said, there's so many elements of Rebels that are so like visual in Mandalorian. And then next thing you know, Zeb shows up. And it's like, it's crazy. So it's like, that's why I said I think the Force is real because I was binging some Rebels literally the night before that new Mando episode, and then there's that. So it's awesome.
Well, I appreciate you guys all coming here tonight. I know we've been rambling about a bunch of different things. I'll run across the room here real quick and just see, Alfie, any closing thoughts as we finish up this episode of Rule the Galaxy?
Yes. First. Michael, thanks for coming on, and I'm so excited for this year's convention. I can't wait. I've got a few things that I'm going to be looking for, and I really hope I find them. And Mando, man, I just can't say it. I love this show. It's growing up a Boba Fett fan. It's like we always say. It's how we played with toys as a kid. I mean, I keep saying I can't believe like this is really real. Like to think back and tell 6-year-old me 40 years ago that one day there's just going to be this show about Mandalorians and it's going to be badass. So I'm excited. I think this is a real turning point to the bigger part of the picture of the season, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
You got it, brother. You got it. D-Doc, how about you? Thanks for all the work you're doing on the show, by the way.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I'm just I'm happy with where Star Wars is at right now. I wish Tech didn't die. I'm kind of sad about that. I'm happy I got his Black Series figure sitting here next to me, and I hope they make some Black Series figures of their new outfits about 3 years from now. Can't wait to see those. But yeah, I mean, Michael, it's great having you on. I can't wait to go to the convention. I appreciate all the work you do to just make it like just to make it like a good experience for the people going. You're like a guy who's running this huge thing where it's like you're thinking of like the little guy the entire time, and you've been doing it for some years now too, and you're still, as you're growing, you're still doing that. So as the word spreads, it's just going to keep getting bigger, and it's just going to keep blowing up, and appreciate you doing that work.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that a lot.
Michael, I'm gonna let you finish up here before I close it up. Any closing words from you before we break down?
First and foremost, thank you very much to the guys of the Rule the Galaxy podcast, of course. Thank you for coming. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for talking about the show. It's people like you that make this happen and keep it in people's minds throughout the year. As far as where Star Wars is right now, I couldn't be happier. I get to wake up on a Wednesday, every single Wednesday at the crack of dawn, and boom, there's new Star Wars. I lived through a time where there was nothing new Star Wars until the man himself, Timothy Zahn, came out and made a magical universe in those 3 books, man. But so I appreciate every little bit of it. Even if there's a section I don't like, I love that section. And the reason why is because it makes sure that there's Star Wars on for me every Wednesday morning. So I love that about it. As far as last things, check out the convention, icnashville.com. You can follow us on social media at ICCC Nashville. You can also follow the hashtag ICCCon. You can see it all down the bottom there on my picture. And then as far as the upcoming event, it's going to be nuts. I'm very excited to see everybody again. The wonderful part about this convention, and you just said it perfectly, man, that it seems like I try to look for the little guy, but that's not what I'm trying to do. We're all little guys and we're all big guys. We're collectors of Star Wars stuff, and that makes us all exactly the same. Every collection, no matter how rich the person is or how little they have, every collection, you have 2 figures on a shelf. That's a collection. And that collection is just as good as the greatest collection because they are all different. They are all a fingerprint. They are all a snowflake, and they all make us us. And that's the wonderful part about this. And I'll never lose that vision, man. And the reason why is because there is absolutely no money in this. I hemorrhage cash all the time. But the only thing that keeps me going is the smiles I see on faces. And in a world like today, man, if you could give one person a smile, that's a hell of a thing. If you could give 10,000 people a smile in a weekend, there is no better feeling in the world. So believe me, I'm very selfish with that feeling, and that's why I do it. But I love it. So all you got to do to pay me back, everybody in the world, is you got to just smile and say hello and help your fellow collectors. You got to teach, you got to learn, you got to grow the hobby. That's what we all have to do.
Well, Michael, again, like those guys said, thank you. It's been just a blessing to have you on. We'd love to have fun with you. You've been great to come on our show. You've been great to let us come down and be a part of the ICCCon. We've been trying to be good ambassadors, like you mentioned.
You guys are great, man.
Whether it's social media or our show, we try to let people know. And look, there's going to be people you're going to meet at this thing, and you're going to stay friends with them for the rest of your life, just like we have. And it's
the thing is half of them you already know from the internet, and then all of a sudden it's like some random person who goes, "Hey, I'm what was the guy before?
Willie Harms." Yeah, hey,
Brent. I'm Willie Harms. Yeah, there you go. And that's the wonderful thing is you meet internet friends that become real life friends. And I don't know everybody else out there, but usually over the age of about 32 years old, you don't make too many new friends. And I make lots of new friends with this thing every year. And I know you guys do too. And that's the best part of it. I mean, I don't know. I'm going to have somebody to talk to when I'm 80 years old. And I'll be like, I can't see the logo on the back of the Boba Fett, but what kind do you think I have? And I'm cool with that, man. That's what I'm looking for.
Well, thanks again, guys. Alfie, D-Doc, always thanks for being the rock of the show. Brent, I know your phone died, but we love you, man. Thanks for being a part of it. We can't wait till all of us are down there together and sharing that fun experience. And it'll be actually, Michael, just so you know, it'll be the first time we meet D-Doc in person. He's
Awesome.
in Philly. We're here in Indiana.
It's crazy.
So we're coming to Tennessee to meet up with our good pal D-Doc. So it's
That
going to
is
be great.
beautiful,
So to all of our listeners, to all of our followers, thank you so much for being a part of what we do. Go support the ICCCon in Nashville if you get a chance, because it's a great event. We hope to see you down there and run into more people that we ran into last year. Go ahead, Michael.
If you don't have a chance, because we know D-Doc had he had the baby last year and he didn't have a chance, so he had to follow along with the live streams on the podcast. Well, what we're doing this year is we're also going to put out a full live stream of the panels and the show. We have Carly King, who's going to be walking around live reporting on site. So we will give that away 100% free to everybody that can't make it or can't afford to make it this year. We know it's tough. So yeah, live streams, all that stuff will be happening too. So all your people, if they can't make it, they can watch it at home for free.
Awesome. Well, guys, another great episode of Rule the Galaxy, and we will be back next week for our 200th episode extravaganza. And I'm going to go get Mark Thompson's phone number to Michael so he can get him at a future show, because he's a great guy. And to everybody out there, until next week, may the Force be with you.